Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, welcome back. Welcome back to another patch notes review here. I don't know why League of Legends doesn't have it on the client, but they don't. So, for today, we will be doing it on their website. League has been getting worse, and now they can't even update their client correctly. But we still out here, we're still going to react to it. As you heard from the noises in the beginning, I am pretty tired. My job is mentally screwing me, and I am exhausted from lack of sleep. But that still isn't going to stop us from doing the patch notes. And this patch notes is a special one. We'll go over why soon. But this is going to be patch 13.18. So let's see what's happening. So, come check out what we're cooking in patch 13.18. We hope you're hungry, because Briar certainly is. So Briar is the newest jungler. Briar is the newest vampire jungler. I very much love Briar. Weirdly enough, my reaction to her did crazy well on YouTube. But I am attributing that to just I did it at the right time, at the right place. But aside from that, I'm actually very excited for her. We're going to go over a little later. But just know, I am very, very happy that she is coming out. And I think she's very fun. And she's basically like Master Yi, but cool. But anyway, let's see what's going on. In this patch, we welcome our newest champion to the Rift. Briar, the Restrained Hunger, is here and ready to sink her teeth into her foes. I thought that said toes. And you honestly can't even blame me, because one of the main things that happened with Briar is when she came out, they leaked her splash art before anything. And people went crazy for her feet. Like, it was scandalous how crazy people went, me included. But anyway, what else are we doing here? So, I wonder what champions taste like. I wonder what her feet taste like. Probably not very good. But that's not all we're serving up. We also have the Ixtal clash this weekend, which I don't care about. The only clash I cared about was the one in ARAM. A new mythic shop rotation, and a handful of street demons dishing out some chaos. So, we are quickly approaching League of Legends World Championship, which has been declining in viewership. That's NALCS. NALCS has been declining in viewership. I don't know about Worlds. I feel like Worlds is still doing good. Because I know in Korea, their viewership has been going up, but that's Korea. Which will be played on patch 13.19, so that's the next patch in 2 weeks. As a result, we're continuing to trickle in more changes aimed at professional play. So that means this patch we're really not going to see anything significant to normal players. I'm going to get affected by this, but normal players aren't. But anyway, we're also doing follow-ups on previous patch, aka Jarvan was a big winner with last patch's item changes. Dark and Kayn nerfs were fully compensated by item buffs, and Tryndamere landed way stronger than they intended. We're also tuning up a few champions and systems that haven't found meaningful success in either solo queue or pro play. And then TFT is launching something new, which I don't really care about because I'm not into TFT that much, because I actually don't really like this season all that much. But anyway, we're going to go over the new skins, which I haven't really seen much of because, rest in peace, Surrender 20. But we'll go over those at the end. Unless I click it. What happens if I click it? Oh, it just shows you the picture. Okay, cool. So the website's a little bit better than the client, honestly, which is ironic. But anyway, let's keep going. So, Briar the Restrained Hunger will be released on September 13th, 2023 at 21 UTC. That's a little weird, because this patch came out 10 hours ago, and it already is 9:13, which makes me question, is Briar out now? Let me actually check, because I do have League open. Let me see real quick if she's out. It doesn't look like she's out. Briar. Yeah, she's not on the client, so this is actually lying. So not only did they not put the patch on the client, but they also didn't do this correctly. Of course, 21 UTC could be maybe September 14th. Oh no, I'm stupid! It's 12 a.m. Well, 12:04 to be exact. It's 12:04 a.m. It's gonna be later today. I'm fucking dumb. Okay, never mind. That's my fault. I thought League was shittier than it is. It's still shitty, but not as shitty as I thought. That is my fault. But anyway, Briar's going to be released later today, which is good. And then we have the new Street Demon skin line, which I'm going to be honest, just, before we really get into the skins, I'll say this now. I complained for a long time that we were getting too many Chinese skins. Now, I will tell, I will give credit where credit is due. Riot is releasing a lot of other skin lines now that are not Chinese and that are not old. And for a long time, I felt like we were just getting the same skins line, like the same skin lines over and over and over again. What was it? Freaking it was always Project, Pool Party, Snowdown was another one. What else? Star Guardian, God knows how many we got there. Battlecast was another one where we always got that. And then I think the last one is Dawnbringer and Nightbringer. We always got that. Oh, and Cosmic. And Cosmic. Aside from all those, I think they added a couple Academias too, but we're finally seeing a lot of new skin lines, so I'll give it a right there. One of my major complaints, at least about skins, well, not even major, I would say minor at this point, with all the shit they did with Samira and what they're doing with the current legendaries. I think now it's minor, but they still did address it, so I'll give them points for that. But anyway, let's keep going. So, Briar. I once heard someone say they're having friends for dinner, and people say, I'm hungry. Eat your fill with Briar later today at 21 UTC, which I don't know what that is. But essentially, just to go over Briar here, I already made a reaction to her kid and everything, so I'm not going to, I'm going to gloss over it a little bit. But essentially, I really, really like Briar. And this is where I'm going to kind of change my mind, because previously I said with Neferi, I didn't like her. I made the mistake of only playing her in Arena, and that was a mistake. I actually starting to play her top lane, and I'm actually enjoying Neferi a lot more now that I'm actually playing her in the Rift. Not as much as I, was going to initially, but a lot more than I am recently since Arena. So Neferi not bad, but I fully expect I'm going to love Briar. The one thing I really want to know, which I could easily look up but I'm not going to, is I hope her passive, which applies a bleed, because I'm all about the bleed, is infinite stacking. If that's not infinite stacking, I'm going to be a little sad. But aside from that, her kit looks very fun. And we have like this somewhat new mechanic where you taunt yourself towards the enemies. I think that's so cool. Like, she's a very feast or famine character, no pun intended. But I really like Briar. I love her look. I'm a sucker for the goth chicks. I love her feet, much like the League of Legends community. I'm really liking her gameplay, and I love her lore. For those of you who don't know, she's basically locked in a pillory, which, let me see if I could show it here, if they have a picture. Yeah, okay, look. Oh, they're not going to show her feet. Wow, you barely see it. But anyway, she's locked in the pillory, but she actually wants to be locked into it because it helps her keep her sanity. So it's actually pretty cool. It's like a little dichotomy thing. But I really like her. I think she's really cool. Look-wise, gameplay-wise, lore-wise, everything. I like everything about this character, and I'm definitely going to be playing her at one point or another. But I'm excited. I'm probably not going to play her at the start, though, because there's no pass out, and I have very limited time, as evidence of me recording this at 12 a.m. Anyway, Briar, really, really cool. Very much like her. I hope she's broken, and I hope they don't nerf her by the time I get to her. So, we're on to Bard. What do I think of Bardo? I think Bardo is a balloon. I think he gets easily popped, and I think, ironically enough, at high levels of play, he could be really fucking good. And I think if you're not really fucking good with him, you're next to damn useless. Bard is almost intended to be played by skilled players because he has roaming baked into him because of his passive. Low elo players don't know macro, they don't know how to roam. I think Bard, because it's baked into his kit, it's incentivized, and people who know how to do it, when you're incentivizing them to do it, do even better. I mean, look at old Aurelion Sol. He was a menace because his whole thing was roaming. His kit basically favored it. So this is where I think good bards are a menace to society. Excuse me. And bad bards fucking suck dick. Now, because of the little thing in the beginning that they put, how they're only going really after pro play because they're inching closer to the patch that's going to be played at Worlds. I think after 13.19, we're going to see more liberal changes. We're going to see like a lot of crazy shit being happening. At least patch note wise. I think until then, we're only going to see some minor stuff and only related to really pro play. Like they said before, but, just reiterating it. So I fully expect Bard to get nerfed here because he's really good in pro. I honestly feel like Bard is really good in pro. I don't have any sort of stats to back that up because I don't watch I don't watch pro anymore. But from what I remember, Bard is really good in professional play. Let's see. So, Passive maximum chime stacks increase, stack duration increased. W now stacks charges, cooldown increased, shrine charges time to full heal decreased. Wow, they are buffing Bard. What the fuck? In this patch, we have some nice quality of life changes, which should be read as buffs, for everyone's favorite meep collector, which I call the balloon. Our goal with these changes is to make Bard balloon even more and feel like a better balloon, because apparently he wasn't good enough. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. Look, they even say it here. They should strengthen his fantasy as a roaming champion. Literally in his cinematic, he was seen just roaming. Like, it's so funny. Anyway, so the passive is going from 5 to 10, which I don't really know what that means. I guess that's how many can be out on the map. Oh, no, that's how many you can stack the movement speed for. Okay. And then the chime duration is going from 7 to 20 whole ass seconds. That is actually huge. 7 wasn't bad. I think if they made it 10, that would have been like okay. But the fact that they more than doubled it, they almost tripled the time you will have this, and they increased the stacks, Bard is going to be zooming around the map as if he was Quinn. And this is where I'm going to relate it back to a cinematic. It's literally going to be like a cinematic where he zooms, up the mountain. If you ever seen the cinematic. If not, it's actually a really good one. You should go see it. But anyway, wow, Bard is going to be the fast. This is insane. Anyway, his W, which is, I think, the weakest part of his kit. I think his E is very good. His Q is very good. His ult is really, really good. I actually think the W is the weakest part of his kit. And the fact that they're buffing that means I think Bard is going to be good all around now. Now, let's see how badly this is getting buffed. Because there is such a thing as an overbuff. So let's see. Caretaker Shrine now accumulates charges, and you can have 2. That's really good. The cooldown slash stack charge time is going from 14 to 18. That's not bad per se, but it is a little bit of a nerf. The shrine charge time to full heal is 10 to 5 seconds. That is huge. And then the shrine move speed bonus is now scaling. It's a little less earlier, which is fine, and now it's scaling upward with AP, which, what else would it be scaling with? Honestly, all around, Bard got a lot of good shit. I would honestly say it is some quality of life changes. It doesn't necessarily make him OP. I think it actually, in a way, sort of borders on OP, because one thing that's very undervalued in League of Legends is move speed. Move speed really, really matters, and the higher up in the elo you go, the more you see these things matter. Move speed is one of them. The fact that Bard can stack so much move speed now off of his passive when he's moving, and that it lasts so long, he is going to be a roaming demon. Like, it's actually crazy. And the fact that they helped his W, which is mostly for in lane too, like, this is also crazy as well. The only thing I'm sad about is they still have, like, I think the max amount of healing shrines capped to 3. If they increased it to 5, I would have thought this was perfect. Like, it would have been actually amazing. But Bard got giga buffed, in my opinion. Like, this is actually crazy how much they buffed him. I would not have expected this. But I guess they want to see Bard in Worlds, and this is where I have this sneaking suspicion. And I'm probably going to say this in 2 weeks on that patch as well, where they're going to buff stuff that's more playmaking and that's more entertaining to watch, because Worlds needs to drive in viewers. It's their biggest event. NA League is not doing well. They got to recoup the money somewhere. And I guess one of those places is Korea, but the big place is Worlds, for sure. But anyway, these are insane changes. Really, really good. Gwen. What do I think of Gwen? I've actually played Gwen recently. I think she's pretty much how I envisioned her to be and how I think Riot wants her to be. She's not that good early. She scales like a truck, and she's decently skill capped. Basically, her whole fantasy is, will you get to late game? Yeah, then you're gonna cut the fucking enemy's head off with your scissors. That's basically what it is. But in terms of anything, I think Gwen would be a fun pick to watch, so I can see them buffing her early. If they were ever going to buff her, I could definitely see them doing it early, because Gwen gets shut down really hard early. And if you get shut down early, there's no coming back, especially in pro play, I think. So I really feel like they want to show Gwen off, because Gwen is, she's pretty hot. She gets people hooked on the game. She got me hooked on the game. But, yeah, I can definitely see some buffs here, hopefully for the early game. But let's see. Gwen Jungle, what they dubbed Gwungle, which sounds actually kind of cute. I thought it was going to sound ugly, but it sounds cute, is in a pretty sad spot right now. As it should be, Gwen Jungle shouldn't be good. Gwen top has also room for some extra power, but Gwen jungle needs a bunch. What the fuck? So this patch we're taking a heavy swing to bringing Gwen jungle, or as they say, Gwungle, back as a viable magic damage carry option. You know, I'm not fully against Gwen going into the jungle, just because she has such a bad laning. And typically, the people who have bad early games, you can just sit them in the jungle, have them farm out, and just completely or not over, completely kind of ignore that little hiccup in their gameplay. You know, that kind of their weakest point. You can kind of just get over it like that. It's sad you can't do it for Kale, but people like he's not an early game champion. But once you get going, once you get over the early game, you're good. That's where the jungle kind of foregoes that because you're not really fighting anyone unless someone's counter jungling you. But yeah, I'm actually very happy, weirdly enough, because I feel like some people should not go jungle, but I'm actually a proponent of this because Gwen early just fucking sucks ass. You're basically always going to lose. Right, made sure of that. There was a time where she only won. But yeah, I'm very happy about Gwen jungle. See, Adrian, you know, yeah, ooh, Gwen jungle, ooh. Anyway, let's see what they're saying. So, 1,000 cuts is not only applied per basic, but also on each hit of her Q. Yes, it's been like this, so why are they mentioning this? So this damage cap increase represents a substantial increase to her damage to monsters. The passive buff walks back the jungler from 12.13, that's pretty long ago, wow, which should hit the magnitude we want for jungle power. Our goal is to retain top Gwen as the top Gwen, but have jungle Gwen as a viable alternative path. This is where, again, if you're a bad player, or if you don't like Gwen's early game like me, I can actually see myself going Gwen jungle a lot more than I can see myself going Gwen mid. The only hard part is, until you get 6, it's kind of hard to gank. Because you really have nothing but a dash to really, like, do the gank. But let's see what they're changing. I didn't even look at the changes. So the base stats, the health growth up is negligible. Any stat increase like that, that's not, like, insanely big, I'm just going to, like, not understand it. So I'm going to say it's useless. So her base stat going up is useless, and then her passive. So magic damage to monsters is getting an increase in the base and an increase in the scaling. Okay, I'm just going to trust Riot here and say it's good. I mean, it's going up by 5% and then by 4 base. I'm just going to assume that's good. Who knows? It seems like they want jungle Gwen to be alternative, not below lane Gwen, which is good. I think that's good. It's going to be really hard, though, for her. Like I said, she doesn't really have anything to set up the gank, but sometimes you don't need it other than catching the enemy with their pants down, at which point Gwen has scissors and you know what's going to happen. Anyway, next we have Irelia. They love Irelia for Worlds because Irelia is, you guessed it, a playmaker. So, I fully expect to see Irelia buffs. Let's see. Irelia isn't currently finding much consistent success. Good. Even in higher levels of play where she usually excels. This champion's so annoying. To give her some power back without directly buffing her damage or reducing the cooldown of her ultimate. Oh joy! It's currently quite high, and decreasing the cooldown should give her more windows of opportunity to all in her opponents. This is where I actually agree. I feel like Irelia's ult, number one, you can miss it. It's a skill shot, and it's decently low range. I mean, granted, if you're on top of the enemy, you're not going to miss it. But even then, sometimes you use it as an engage, and at that point, you could miss it. I think because you can miss it because it is a projectile, I think it really isn't all that. Like, as an ultimate, it almost feels like it's kind of just like an ability. Like, if they switched this out with another ability and made it her like a basic ability, I would not really feel too mad about that because it doesn't feel like an ultimate. It doesn't feel like all that. It's a little epic, but not crazy epic. I'm not talking about epic games. But anyway, the cooldown is going down by about 15 seconds, which is not bad. Not crazy, but not bad. But like I said, they want to put Irelia into Worlds because she is a playmaker and she's really fun to watch. So, no surprises here. J4. So I'm not even going to try and guess what they're doing because they said they're nerfing him in the beginning. J4 is performing very well. He got a sizable buff from the Shojin and Gore Drinker changes last patch. His most common later slot purchases are Frozen Heart, Spirit, and Guardian Angel, which he should be building. See, that's where I know that Gore Drinker and Shojin have been an issue, but this is where for Jarvan it's sad because this is exactly what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be a fighter, a bruiser. He's supposed to not build full tank, not build full damage, which for a long time they incentivized that. He's supposed to be a mix. He's supposed to be a bruiser, a brawler. And for a long time he wasn't. And it's sad that the only time he can actually do that is when Gore Drinker and Shojin are fucking busted out the ass and they're gonna get nerfed, so he's not gonna have that much time in the sun. But I'm curious to see how bad they're nerfing him, because they're gonna nerf his main items as well. Granted, it's not just his items, the items are broken, but it is actually making him fill out his actual intended role in the game, at least as long as Riot isn't dumb and wants to make him an ADC or something. So, let's see what they're doing. This is partially due to his passive, so we'll be nerfing it to tone down his damage. I feel like Jarvan's passive of all the things is not all that, except for lane Jarvan. I feel like lane Jarvan is the only place where the passive really matters. But let's see. Additional physical damage is going from 8% to 6%. This is a pretty decent nerf. Not anything crazy, but not negligible. Pretty decent. 8 to 6, it's 2%, but in reality it's like what? Fuck, I can't do the math, but maybe it's like 20. What's 20% of 8? It's over 20, 20, 40, 60, 80. It's 25%. This is a 25% nerf. So, it is what it is. Jarvan's definitely a little weaker, but I still feel like it only really hurts lane Jarvan. Who knows? Kassadin. So again, Kassadin is famous in League of Legends history. He is a big playmaker. He's a scaler too. I feel like Kassadin is a hugely skill-reliant champion. And he's iconic. I mean, the whole phrase of Xpeke came from Xpeke using Kassadin. And there's some people who probably won't ever hear that. One, because who watches the patch notes, and two, because that's actually really old at this point, and I'm feeling my age now. But anyway, I think Kassadin is a huge playmaker, so they have to buff him. We've seen players ask about Kassadin's state after his accidental buff in 13.15. I want to take some time here to address it. The change wasn't intended. We were aware of this change immediately after it went live and decided that we are comfortable with this new power level. So I'm confused if they're buffing this or this is just what the change was. Okay. Interesting. So what are they doing? So they're buffing R. They're making the scaling go up to fucking 60? Holy shit. Wow, they're making it go up by 20%, but in actuality, it's going up by like 50. You're getting a 50% buff on this. That's actually insane. Wow. 40 to 60%. You're going to feel like your ult is actually going to be heftier. And it's crazy too, because Kassadin late game, he's not a pushover. He does not fuck around. Like, he will definitely fuck some people's faces. And for them to buff him more, I think this is a buff not only to pro, but to lower areas as well. To lower shit elos. This is actually crazy. I think this is really good. Not as big as the other changes to freaking Bard, but still pretty big. Huh. Okay, Kayn. I'm almost positive Kayn is going to get nerfed for the pure fact that he's been running rampant with Shojin and Gore Drinker. Whether it's right to do so, I don't think so. Kayn is another one who in Worlds is a really good watch. He's a really good champion to hype up stuff. I don't think they're going to touch him too bad, but I do think they're going to nerf him. So let's see. And actually, we already spoiled ourselves because in the beginning. Let's see. Last patch, we attempted to nerf both Shadow Assassin and Darken. While his numbers went down, we also buffed one of the Darken Kayn's key items, which means we only achieved our goal in one of his two forms. This patch, we're making good on our goals to weaken his Darken form. It's worth noting that a Kayn who's doing well transformed around to level 8, and the old version of Darken passive scaled from level 1. This change makes it so the healing... makes the healing more clear and ultimately nerfs his late game. Wow. Kayn is pretty good late game too. But let's see what they're doing. So, the healing is just getting cut to 25 across the board, so better early, worse late. Decent change. And then his R. So the darkened version is now scaling 3% less, which is still fine. And you heal from that too. But, yeah, Kayn is going to do slightly less than last, slightly less too. I think that's fair. I think Darkened Kayn to me is always better than Blue Kayn. I think Red Kayn is just superior. And it was a little ridiculous, especially with Shojin and Gore Drinker, how long this guy would fucking live. It was actually, like, insane. You were like old Aatrox, you would never die. But, yeah, I think this is fine. I think these changes are decent. They're not crazy, but they're also warranted. I think this is okay. Next, Kennen. Another team fighting person for Worlds. Wow. What are they gonna do? I'm pretty sure they're gonna buff him because I feel like Kennen has been getting like secretly buffed a lot, but they don't do it back to back. They do it like every so often. Like, okay, we're gonna buff Kennen. We're gonna let him sit. Okay, he sat for a little bit. Okay, he's still not good. Let's buff him again. And I feel like they've done that so many times now where I can't remember the last nerf Kennen got. Granted, Kennen in my eyes is sort of a simple champion. He's like Tryndamere, except he has team fighting capability where he's very simple. Like if he's activating the E, he's either using it to go in or run the fuck away. He's very straightforward. You really can tell if you've played the game for any amount of time. When Kennen's going to go in an ult, it's very obvious. He's straight just the one-to-one champion. So I think you have to make him just like almost winning in a number sense, like almost just stat checking people if you want him to win, because that's the only way he's going to be good with his current kit, personally. But let's see what they're doing. Kennen hasn't been very shocking in solo queue, which is not good for Worlds. So we're looking to get him into better spot this patch. We'll be buffing his uptime instead of his damage, as he already deals a reasonable amount of it. Firstly, we'll be decreasing the energy cost of his E. I think that's pretty good. Since he maxes it last, it's left at the initial cost of 100 for a large portion of the game. Damn, that's like half your bar. Decreasing the energy should allow Kennen to use it more frequently to shove waves, trade, engage, and escape. I think the biggest thing it's going to let people do is shove waves. I think if you're trading, like, yeah, you could trade more often, but I don't think it was that big of an issue there. I think you only used it for that, though. You didn't really use it for wave clear unless you knew the enemy backed. Now you can use it probably a little bit more liberally, but I haven't really looked at the cooldown yet. But anyway, um, sorry, the cost. But anyway, secondly, we'll be reducing his late game cooldown of his ultimate. Ah, yes, the cream de la crop. This Kennen heavily relies on it to be impactful during team fights. Yeah, because without his ultimate, he's literally a non-champion late game. Like, he's gonna do nothing but go in and die. So, how badly are they doing this? They're taking the ult from 100 to 80 at all ranks. That's a pretty good buff. That's not bad. And then the R is going down from 120 all the way to 80. Wow. That's actually insane. I think that's a 33% decrease. Huh. That is no fucking joke. Because then if you get ability haste on him too, it's going to be even better. That's actually wild. You are going to see Kennen essentially almost always have his ult up for like the team fights. That's fucking wild. That's really good. Wow. That's really, really good. Rel. Again, another person who's really good for Worlds. What do I think of Rel? I know they changed Rel around. Weirdly enough, I still haven't really seen her. Even though I know they changed her around. I've seen her maybe once or twice and she got fed, but she went mid too, so it was really weird. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about Rel. I feel like with all the changes, there's no way she's bad. I just haven't been seeing her because I truly believe like supports are not in season. They haven't been for a long time. Actual supports. Not none of this Lux brand Nico bullshit. Actual supports. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. Rel has been quite strong recently. In pro play, she's been played equally as a support and a jungler. That's disgusting. But it makes sense. Unlike freaking Gwen, she actually has gank setup. While in solo queue, she's primarily been a support. However, even if she's not popular as a jungler, we do plan on continuing to support her viability there. That's disgusting. That said, she's deserving of nerfs. Wow. And there's no way to lower her support without hitting the jungle as well. It's important to us that Rel lives up to her fantasy as the fastest support champion. That's just false because you have people like Bard now. But right now, the counterplay is basically, do you have Headbutt or Flay? Ha! That's hilarious. Or are you playing Janna or Morgana? I feel like they forgot about them because Riot doesn't understand that there's other supports in the game. Because they don't want people playing them. They want them playing stupid mages. But anyway, so what are they doing? So the bonus move speed is going down by 5%. That's okay. And then the bonus move speed towards enemies is going down from 50 to 40. I think this is fine. I mean, again, I'm not really a Rel player and I haven't seen too much of her, so I don't know how impressive she is, but yeah, I honestly just don't know. I'm just gonna assume this is okay. Based on the numbers, it doesn't feel like it's gonna be that crazy, but I'm not a main of the champion. This is where being a Jhin main, it really opened my eyes. Where once they nerfed Jin's Q, his grenade, with 5 AD, I missed so much CS, it was insane. Granted, AD is a little bit of a special role where you need a lot more finesse and a lot more scrutiny, and you feel the changes a lot more because you're very very focused on AD, I would say. But aside from that, these changes could be massive. I just don't play well to know, and I haven't seen her, so that is what it is. Senna, what do I think of Senna? I think Senna is one of League's poster children. I think they love her. I think the players, unfortunately, really like her because she could flex into ADC, she could flex into support, and that's basically what happened for a while with her and Tom Kench. Her and Tom Kench would kind of play this like pseudo weird game of okay, Senna's gonna start as the support and then become the AD as time goes on because it's better for her passive because that's how she gets souls more efficiently. So it was a really weird thing. Senna is versatile, and it's the same thing, not as much as Set, but similar to Set, where because Set was so versatile in ranked, or sorry, not ranked, in pro play, you can essentially play him in any role you need, even AD. I think Set was the universal, all like one person could go every role, and it's not bad. Which was a massive, massive thing in pro because you can basically save a pick for later for trading purposes. But anyway, Senna, I feel like is the same thing for Ballin, except she hasn't been like that in a while. But she is League's poster child, or one of them, and she has a lot of skins that they need to sell, so I'm assuming they're gonna buff her. Because I really haven't seen Senna in a while. The problem is when Senna's strong, she feels oppressive. It almost feels like Caitlyn, except like she actually scales. Which not saying Caitlyn doesn't, but Senna just feels better. But anyway, I feel like they're gonna buff her, but let's see. Way back when Senna was released, we incorporated a critical strike ratio as she was expected to do too well with crit items. Ironic. However, in the current state of the game where they ruined Infinity Edge, Senna is actually considerably weaker when opting to itemize crit. How ironic. Now that we don't have reservations with Senna being too powerful in building crit, we're comfortably removing the penalty from her kit. Wow. We're also including a passive application buff to her W as a nice feels good change. Is this the Worlds patch? No, the Worlds patch is next one. But this is where we're getting ready for the Worlds patch. It's the one right before, so they're still doing some world adjustments. But let's see what they're doing, Center. So, the critical strike reduction is no longer in place, so you're not going to do reduced 8.5% damage on your crits. Yippee! And then her W. The area of effect is now afflicted with a stack of mist. Oh, I'm actually surprised that wasn't the case already. So that is really a big quality of life change. Um, it's just gonna net you at best maybe one or two extra souls, especially in a team fight. But this is where it's really negligible. All these things I think are pretty negligible, which means they probably think Senna's pretty good already. Which honestly I could believe it. Even though I don't see her, it's probably because she's a pro play champion mostly. But these are not bad. But they of all the changes in the whole patch, I think these are the weeniest so far. Okay, then we have Tresh, which in the lore, Tresh is going pretty crazy. Like, he's now free from the Shadow Isles. He now took the power of Viego, so he's pretty much akin to the Ruined King in terms of strength and threat, which is pretty scary to think of. And he's kind of just roaming the streets around the land. So in the lore, Thresh is really fucking crazy. But I don't know how far they're gonna push the lore forward, and I'm really thinking that they're just waiting for the MMO. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. If I had to think of Thresh, I would think they have to buff him because any actual support sucks dick. So, what are they doing? Thresh is a bit. Oh, and he's also a big world's champion. Huge world's champion. Thresh is a bit weak right now and is a fan favorite both to play and to watch. And the watch part is definitely the important one. It's important that Thresh is able to participate both as an offensive and defensive support, which, if you're good enough, you can do both already. He's got plenty of kill threat and lockdown. He's like the harder Nautilus. So this changes to ensure he's a strong defensive output too. Interesting. So they're buffing the W to have more shield strength per soul. Going from 1.5 to 2 per soul. And they changed nothing else. This is fucking wiener. This is like almost like a slap in the face of like how insignificant this is. So let's just say, right? I don't even remember how many souls you typically get in a Thresh game, but let's just say you get like 200, right? 200 times 1.5 is a 300 shield on top of the base amount. So 200 times 2 It's 400. So you're getting 100 extra shield. Late game, that extra 100 will almost never matter. In some situations, you might get out with a little bit of health, but most of the time, like, what even is that? That's nothing. And you still have to work towards it, too. This is a buff, but god, it's so fucking wiener. Tryndamere. So, um... I actually forgot which patch they increased his range, but them increasing his range, I believe it was like 125 or something, and they put it to 175 now. That actually had the effect of driving up Trinimir's win rate so much that in regular Rift, I think he went up by like 4 or 5%, which is insane. And then in ARAM, he became the best ARAM champion in the game, which is fucking crazy. So he's definitely a little crazy with range. Again, this is where Trinity is very straightforward. If you give him strength like this, he's going to run rampant. He's feast or famine. He's very simple. Similar to Kennen, but just not team fight. So they're going to nerf him because it's actually crazy what he could do now. Even though he could kind of do it before, just a little harder. After the changes in the last patch, Trinity definitely found success with his new attack range. While we did overshoot on release, we believe this is a step in the right direction for his long-term excuse me, because it provides interesting skill tests for players in the form of managing spacing. I think that's complete horseshit. Previously, the test looked more like can I get to the top on top of the enemy, and after that became a matter of stat checking them, which Trinimir is really good at. Going forward, we're looking to balance Trinimir at 175 attack range, which allows more power out of pure damage into other components. Oh god, they're gonna nerf his damage. Oh no. So, his health is going a little bit down. I think that's fair. He should be a glass cannon until 6. And then his base AD is going down by 2. That's going to sting a little bit more, but I think it's still reasonable for what they did. Move speed is one of the big things I said earlier that people kind of underestimate. Attack range is a big thing. Now, that one isn't as underestimated, but that's where it's kind of unrealistic because Riot barely ever changes the attack ranges of characters. It's very rare. So that's why I don't even think of it as mentioning because Riot almost never does it. But yeah, Trinimir is slightly worse, but still probably good. Xayah. Xayah is another, you know it, world's champion to view because her setting up the feathers and getting those huge chunks and her ult being able to dodge stuff, it's a lot of playmaking in a way. Not as much as someone like terrible Lee Sin, but still decent amounts where it's very fun to watch. So I think Xayah's probably going to get buffed because I don't think she's good because she probably builds Navori, and any champion that builds Navori sucks ass in my eyes because they should be building Infinity Edge. And that won't be a problem next year, but that's fucking next year. Anyway, let's see what they're doing with Xayah. Xayah has been dominating pro play recently. Wow, that's a surprise. And she's also been performing well in high levels of solo queue since Xayah has the most defensive ultimate out of any of our ADCs. True. We'll also be targeting her early game to give her opponents more of a counterplay window, while keeping what makes her unique. See, this is where I think Xayah is one of the best scalers in the game, because she literally has a 20% straight up damage buff on her autos, like for free. Like any other AD does not have that. She legit has a 20% just straight up. I will do 20% more damage. I will do a fifth more damage to you in this time frame with her W. It's actually crazy. But anyway, to accomplish this, we'll be nerfing her base health and buffing her health growth, which will make her more vulnerable early, but it will be a buff to her when she's expected to have more survivability about 6. So they're kind of hammering in like, okay, before 6 she should be kind of squishy. After 6 she should be safe. And they're kind of just reconfirming it weirdly enough. We'll also be increasing the early cooldown of her E. No! As this is an ability that's especially utilized in high levels of play. I mean, it's her bread and butter. Without the E, Xayah basically almost isn't a champion. Her E is the whole crux of her kit. Our goal here is to reduce the power in lane, but ensure it's still just as strong once she purchases Navori, which is sad that she does, but she does. So the base health is going from 660 to 630. That's a decent jump. Then the health growth is going up. Again, these are base stats. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I don't know what these mean. And then Blade Caller. The cooldown early is going higher, but late game it's the same. Honestly, I'm fine with that. You're going to max C first anyway, so this isn't going to be too much of an issue. Next. Oh, that's the last champion. Wow. Okay, next. Crown of the Shattered Queen, or what I like to call the pussy item. I think Crown was for a long time the best option because it's similar to Red King, where it's just defensive, it's just better. I think since then they nerfed it enough. Now I don't really see it a lot because now people just go straight damage with either Ludens or with Everfrost if you can set up for it. So this is pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure they're gonna buff Crown because I barely see it. But I'm glad I barely see it. I don't want to see this thing buffed, but they're probably gonna buff it. So let's see. Crown of the Shattered Queen has very few users. Wow. With only a Zir landing above a 15% pick rate. Well, again, that's not going to be the issue for too much longer because they're getting with the Mythics, but I guess for now. The changes here are aimed at opening up its roster of users, for making it defensive item against all kind of dives, but not just ones from assassins. Additionally, the item is relatively pro-skewed, with its strength being focused on preventing short-term bursts, which, to be fair, pro play is very good at coordinated stuff. As pro play teams are very coordinated, wow, I just said that, and can deal their damage in a very short window. That's very true. Finally, we're removing some ability power from the item that helped wave clear. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the AP. Wait a minute. It said they're removing AP, but they're adding it back. What the fuck? So it's going from 70 to 85, even though they said they would remove some of it, which is interesting. Unless they mean they might mean the mythic passive, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so the AP is going up, and then the safeguard is going down but lasting longer. Wow, that sucks. And then Crown will no longer provide 10 to 40 AP while the shield holds. No, so this is overall a nerf to the AP. Because even though they're giving you 15 at the start, the amount of scaling that you did from 10 to 40 was pretty good. But anyway, Crown, I can't really speak too much on if it'll be good or not. I think giving it AP is one of the surefire ways, but I think the main drawing point of Crown is obviously not the stats, even though you need them. It's mostly, I would say, the shield. And the fact that it's shielding for less, albeit a little longer, is a little interesting. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I guess we'll have to see. Spear of Shojin. This item has been ridiculous, so it's for sure getting nerfed. Let's see how bad it's going. Let's see what Riot's going to say about this. I literally saw a clip right before I started patch notes on Twitter of this guy building Gore Drinker Spear on Kayn and getting a Penta so easily. And he was saying, you can build this on anyone and get free elo, which obviously he's exaggerating, but not by much. So anyway, items in League of Legends will always have a best user. It's inevitable, not for Jhin. What's important is for the items to be balanced for a large pool of champions that are outliers and handled as needed. In Spear's case, we're quite happy with its new shape as a mid-sized fighter item that asks for longer fight commitments. Yeah, no, I think it's just OP. But it's a little too powerful. Jesus. Oh. It's so late. This patch will further lowering the attack damage to reinforce its space as a durable item that's functional as an early purchase. Interesting. So they're knocking off 5 AD, but it sounds like this isn't the first time they knocked it, so I guess we'll see. They obviously can't touch the passives because that's what makes them the item. And without that, it will literally be put in the ground. I don't care how much base damage you put, within reason. But yeah, again, I can't really talk about this because I'm not really there for the Spear of Shojin Gore Drinker era, which thankfully, so I don't think I'd like that. Anyway, Static Shiv. Static Shiv needs to get buffed. It's nowhere like the old Static, and I made a video on this on my YouTube, but just to reiterate, old Static was in almost every way, shape, and form better than this. The only thing this is better than is hitting more people easier and being more geared towards minions, which is so fucking dumb. But anyway, Static Shiv has been quite the balance roller coaster this year. Yeah, because it scales off AP. Initially, it was given a generous AP ratio to incentivize hybrid builds and gain extremely strong wave clear to help it stand out in its niche. Ultimately, both these aspects were simply to game warping. This patch, Static Shiv's wave clear is being tuned to be more moderate. Ooh. But it's also receiving a compensation buff. Ooh. So the attack damage is going up, but the electroshock damage is going from 250 to 352, now being 200. Wow, that's kind of a nerf. So not only does it not scale, it's even worse than the lowest base amount. They really don't like this thing being too good at wave clear, which is crazy because I feel like I never buy this shit. The fact that this item was good on LeBlanc building full AP was stupid. I think it's a big oversight, and again, it's kind of a slap in the face to the old static. I wanted old static, but anyway, Storm Razor, the item that I think only Jin builds. Storm Razor initially launched overpowered, and then was tuned down, and then reshaped away from being a scaling burst item. As the dust had settled, players had moved towards the corrector builds for their champion. It's become clear that Storm Razor is a bit weak right now. Well, no fucking duh. I always say this. Why would you get Storm Razor? Again, unless it has a very, very strong proc that blows everything else out of the water, which currently it doesn't. Why would you not get Kraken Slayer? Kraken Slayer does what it does, but more consistently. It takes so long to charge the charge for the Storm Razor proc to go through, the energized charge, where at that point, what if you need to CS a minion? At that point, it's gone. But whereas Kraken Slayer is much more consistent and overall provides a much better, a much better damage over time stuff. So I still think Storm Razor kind of sucks. I think doing 5AD won't really help it. But anyway, here we have the Clash Ixtal Cup. It doesn't look like it's for ARAM, so I'm skipping it. And then champions got their ability icons updated. Hopefully we don't have to pay for them. So, Arena ranked rewards. Ranked rewards for the arena will be distributed September 18th. Cool, that doesn't matter to me. Mythic shop rotation. So a lot of stuff is changing in the Mythic shop, so that's cool. We have new skins. We have Crystal Modus Talia. And a lot of the Hextech stuff back, but that's cool. Oh, and we also have the Mythic Jinx Chrome. I gotta go get that too. And then bug fixes, which we're not gonna read. And then finally we're at the end, and thank goodness too, because I'm getting fucking tired. Here we have a Briar launch skin, which looks pretty interesting. It's a little weird that she draws with her feet, but I guess it kind of makes sense considering where she's at. It just looks a little weird that she's an artist in a literal pillory, but maybe she's making a art statement, but who knows. Excuse me. But yeah, Street Demon Briar, Street Demon Nico, as if Nico needed another skin. This more looks like Alien Nico than anything. Street Demon Dr. Mundo. Insane that Mundo's getting a new skin. Good for fucking him. Street Demon Zyra. Very sexy. Very much looks like a demon. Street Demon Brand. Looks like he's waiting for you to suck it. Street Demon Rengar. This thing looks so stupid. See, this looks a little Chinese, but it looks actually really cool with the effects. And then finally, Crystal Modus Talia, which is a part of the new set or new skin line for Mythic Essence users like me. But I'm not going to be getting the Talia skin because I do not play that hoe, even though that skin looks really good. It's like an emerald skin. Overall, these skins are not bad. Let's see the Dr. Mundo one. Oh my god, he's like a demon. It's pretty good. It literally looks like he's creating like hand paint, which also doesn't look right because it looks like it's self-correcting according to AI, whereas like he's literally drawing scribbles with his hand. Interesting. Overall, like I said before, I'm just going to reiterate it. I think the fact that Riot is releasing a lot more new skin lines and trying new things that's not Chinese, not to sound bad or anything, but thank goodness we're not getting like the 5 freaking Chinese things for the year. Thank God. So again, I know not too much about these skins. I can really only judge them off their splash arts and stuff. But overall, I think these are solid. I think these are solid choices. I need to see the effects more than anything, but that'll come with time. Now, obviously, we have the promos. Cool. And that's the end of the patch. Let's actually look at Crystal Modus here. Ooh, not bad. Not bad at all. Wow. So that's going to conclude this patch notes. I would say the changes they did here honestly surprised me. I don't know if they're that good, but the changes themselves, especially being near worlds, were a lot more than I expected with some of them, and some of them were like really good too. And overall, we have Briar releasing, which is definitely going to factor in. I would honestly rate this 8 out of 10 Mark Merrills. I'm actually shocked, and a lot of the changes aren't like they're neutral. A lot of them are neutral. I didn't think there was a necessarily bad change. But like, bro, some of these are insane. Like the Bard one's crazy. Catston's a little crazy. Cannon's fucking really good too. Like it's wild. It's actually wild. But anyway, I'm gonna confidently say 8 out of 10 Mark Morales. I hope they keep up the steam because we haven't had a good patch, in my opinion, in a while. And there's not even an ADC in here, but again, Briar definitely helped with that. But anyway, that's pretty much gonna be it. I hope everyone enjoyed. And this is all a big advertisement for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Technics channel, where I'm usually live in the depths of the night. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Hope everyone enjoyed. Come to my Twitch. Eee!